how should you talk to your parents about their estate plan. And I want to coach you, give you some ideas and things to avoid, things to do, have some specific words, some approach to use as well, and have an out in the conversation as well. Just in the last couple of weeks, I was meeting with a couple of younger clients of ours, and they had some babies coming along the way. And so we started to talk about their estate plan, the life insurance, the will, power attorney, healthcare directive, whether a trust makes sense, where it doesn't make sense. And in both instances, both clients in the middle of the meeting interrupted and said, you know what, Carl, actually, I don't know if my parents have anything in place or not. And that's making me more concerned. But I gotta admit, I was not aware of the pain of and the thought and the concern about parents' estate plan. My father, he started off in seminary and then somehow ended up becoming a stockbroker and financial advisor, and also served on a couple city councils. So faith, family, politics, finances, those are all things discussed on the dinner table. And then I met my wife's family and realized real quick, those are not the things you're supposed to talk about. My goal here is to arm you, educate you, coach you, try to avoid some of the landmines that I stepped on, and making sure that everybody's comfortable with the conversation and familiar with the plan, and do it in a way that doesn't antagonize or hurt the relationship. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and dive in. So first I want to touch on the approach. So when we talk about estate planning, it can be pretty easy to come across as entitled or trying to go after something. And so the approach that we want to have and think about is that we are trying to seek to understand and to learn from our parents. And so we want to have it in an inquisitive format, not out of accusation, but out of love. And so some of the words that we're going to use, I touch on, is going to try to portray that. But I want you to get in that mindset first, because this wealth, whatever wealth that your parents built, it is their money. They can do whatever they want with it. They can tell you about it. They can not tell you about it. Just as if you're blessed with kids, it's up to you. You don't have to tell them anything about it if you don't want to. And so we want to have that level of respect for the wealth that they built. The other thing is who. So ideally, the person that brings us up is the parent's child. So for example, I would bring that up to my parents. My wife would bring it up to her parents. But obviously it's not a comfortable situation. So if your spouse is not open to or a little nervous about asking their parents, then make sure that it's with each other in an open environment. So that's the approach and the person, the ideal situation, and the backup idea. So let's get into some of the specific words and phrases that you can use. The first one is, my wife and I were talking with our financial advisor about wills, power attorney, healthcare directive, that sort of thing. And we were wondering what you have in place so that we can kind of learn what you're doing and see if we should do something similar. Would you be open to talking about that? Then just pause. If you can say that, you've already won. You should not have it as the goal for that first conversation to learn everything that they have all at once. That's probably not going to happen. The goal should be just asking that question, and then over time that should open the door to potentially future conversations. Now, if you get past that first stage and they say yes, we'd be open to it. Next phrase is, would you be open to talking about it now, or would you want to connect on that a little bit later? If they say later, say perfect. Would you be open to coming over to our place, or we'll go over to your place and maybe grab some breakfast or lunch and learn from you? And then you set a time, hopefully, that's focused on that. If you get that far, then here are some other questions that are using more common terms rather than some of the legal terminology. So the first question, or one of the more specific questions, is, who did you work with to help you build what you have? And if they say, oh, my tax person or my financial advisor, that may mean that there may not be a whole lot of stuff that's actually in writing. If they say a specific attorney well, then that attorney, it's good to grab that name or the firm's name, especially if maybe they did it many years ago, getting the name of the firm, so that if something happens to them, you have it down and you can call them to figure out what's going to happen next. So if you get past that, who did you work with? Then the next question would be, is there anything that you're going to have me do or my siblings do? Are we going to work together, or is there one person in charge? Love to understand what you would expect of us. That question, whatever they answer, that's usually going to answer the question of trustee or personal representative or healthcare power of attorney, knowing the responsibilities. If they say no, you're all going to be in charge, then that's going to be what's called like a co-trustee, or you're all going to kind of decide together, which may maybe make you even more nervous. I'm not sure. And then the next question would be, when we are done with our estate plan, our advisor is going to put together a little summary on how that all works. Is that all right if I share that with you? And then they say, yep, sounds good. It's like, do you have a summary or a copy that you'd want to save with us as well? And that would be the last question to ask. So if you get that far, that would be super successful. Again, make sure you have the goal be that first one, just asking that, would you be open to that conversation? And specifically, some of the specific terms is my financial advisor, or if you didn't have a financial advisor, use an excuse or have an out person. So it could be, my friends and I were talking and we're thinking about doing this estate plan. If you're stopped right after that first question, just say, yeah, you know what, that's a crazy idea. Why would I ever do an estate plan? You can just blame that friend, family, or blame the financial advisor for bringing that up. And then you can go on, hopefully having a very successful conversation of other things, and then maybe bring it up in a couple of years. But just make sure to have that escape route in place of blaming somebody else. I would much rather have my clients' parents think that I'm the crazy guy asking these questions than to accuse them of something else. So I hope you found that helpful. I know it was a little bit longer, but for those that are considering having that conversation, hopefully that's going to be a much better experience than what I had in our first conversation with my wife's family. So thanks for taking some time, and best of luck, and always feel free to reach out if you have questions or need some other phrases or some other ideas to help you and coach you in that tough conversation there. So thanks so much for your time.